cities in here. So this is just to have a little idea, right, of the complex we're gonna visit here today. This wall had 9 gates to control the pass of traffic and pedestrian to the city, and also 23 cenotes. So they have a good source of fresh water. So I'm gonna just put this back so I start.
Okay, that's
walking
cool.
inside.
We're here at the Mayapan Ruins.
So we are on Mayapan. We can read a little bit of the characteristics that were left by the archaeologists that fixed up that work on Mayapan. According to this information, the walled city of Mayapan was founded during the second half of the 8th century. But we have evidence, geological evidence of people established in Mayapan 300 BC. So there has been lots of periods or different periods of occupation on the site. We have an approx of 12,000 people, inhabitants living inside the wall of Mayapan. We think that that was way more than that. We can see that not all the people, there was an organization on the societies too, so not all the people was able to access to many structures, religious temples we can see here, and areas that were used just as residential areas for the elite or status groups that were ruling the city of Mayapan. So we really think that there were way more than 12,000 people. During the post-classic period, the 1200s to 1400s, it's when Mayapan gets to have the control of a big portion of what is now the Yucatán state, being the largest political capital on this last period of occupation. When we talk about Mayan civilization, there is a period of time, periods of history that the archaeology has been providing to classify the history of this civilization. 2500 BC as a formative period. When they were establishing, they already developed agricultural activities, but they were establishing and building these urbanized cities we can visit nowadays as ruins. We have the time of splendor from 250 BC of this era to the 900s or the year 1000. That as a time of splendor, when most of these cities gets in maximum splendor, in maximum peak. And then a time of decadence, the end of the classic period and post-classic period. That's when Mayapan was a large political capital, one of the last cities holding all the ideas that Maya people have about the world, their explanation or interpretation of the universe. The people from Mayapan was the ones holding all those ideas of what this world is. Wow. So let's take a walk inside, let's explore inside. And as I was telling you, to have a little idea of the splendor, the sophistication these cities had on that period, you need to travel a little bit back on time, because all these temples were not just like you're watching them, they were all fixed up. All the temples had before a fine finish, a fine plaster of stucco, and the temples were painted with blue and red colors. Those were the colors of this city of Mayapan. There is in a lot of these structures, you can see the different periods of occupation. There was a cycle, periods of time when they were renewing many things, idols, sculptures, books, temples too. So you can see all these temples like those Russian dolls. When you open one outside, when you open the one outside, you will find one inside. Okay?
Wow.
So all the temples are like that. You can see part of the earlier constructions or the inside structures in there. That's something that also allowed us to see how the architecture was changing through all these periods of occupation, how we acquire influence from different lands, from central Mexico, and the Pacific area. All these were part of pillars, like the ones you can see there. There was probably a structure in here, or this was holding something. There is in some cities columns similar to this. I'm sure that this was not a picota, but picota columns that sometimes were set in the middle of plazas to register the position of the sun passing by the zenith. Right, it's a position on the sun. We have been registering signs a long time ago. This is announcing the first seasons of rains. So even nowadays, people wait for this position of the sun. They know rain will be coming, and this is the time when we will be preparing the land for agricultural activities. But this was probably holding something close to these structures. You will see platforms like that one, that the pillars were taller. They had that fine plaster of stucco, but they were holding roofs made out of perecedar materials. Normally, that's the material of construction to make the roof on the houses. That's what we call guano. It's a palm tree that we have been using for lots of centuries to build those roofs on the houses, and it's the same material we kept on using nowadays. But let's go to the top of this temple.
Okay.
There is a painting, there is a mural.
Oh, wow.
It's called the Fisherman.
The
The
fisherman.
Fisherman mural. So it's very. This
Come here, Bubby.
can be a recreation of activities that some of these groups we can see on that personage is known as the Fisherman, and that ornamentation is dressing. So we are sure that this was a personage, a status personage. What is a iguana? Have you
touched it, I think.
you find an iguana? No? There are iguanas everywhere. We're gonna
You see
find,
an iguana,
we're gonna
Cash?
find some iguanas
Did you find an
today.
iguana?
You'll see. They are
Did
all
you?
over the place. We'll try to find one. Lizard, yes. We're gonna see a lot, man. Don't worry, they're not vicious. They're not aggressive. There is even a lizard as well right here. There is a crocodile on that part.
Oh, yeah.
There is a couple of perch and a snake, and the personage is known as the Fisherman. But they are very ornamented, and according to some experts, some archaeologists, it contains on the dressing symbols that are linked to the planet Venus. So for some of these experts, it can be a representation of the god Cuculcan. Cuculcan, known as the feathered serpent. If you see the temple, the big temple back there, that was a temple dedicated or built in honor to this god. It's called the Cuculcan Castle, and those
Okay.
temples are the ones.
Over there again.
Wait for us, buddy.
Look at it.
Those ones are the structures that had the same designs of the ones we have on Chichen Itza,
Wow.
and that's why they call this place the small Chichen Itza.
Okay.
Of that Mayan observatory, and that temple we call the Cuculcan Castle, that has the same design, the same characteristics, and it was small representations of our calendars we were using, and they were also used to register the change of the seasons. The one at Chichen Itza registered the start of the spring equinox, and here we can register the days of the winter solstice. So we'll go to the top and I talk you about
Okay,
it, okay?
cool.
But mira, from here, well, this is a platform where we can get really cool pictures.
Yeah.
So if you want to take some pictures from up here, this is cool view.
That one?
That one, yes.
It is really high.
You're gonna climb 65 steps. 65 steps on each side of the temple.
You want to trade me for a minute?